Because I've got the gavel, and Mr. Tuberville is a generous man. Thank you, sir. First of all, I'm grateful for the ranking member and the chairman for holding this committee. I can't tell you about the urgency, and I think it was reflected in a lot of the comments that were made beforehand. I'm frankly, when I finally started doing the research when I got into the Senate, I didn't realize how much of a crisis many areas of our nation have by just having not access to clean water or to septic systems. And I was telling the ranking member that my roots go down into Alabama, and I owe that state so much of my life. And when I went down to meet with you, Catherine, when you challenged me to come down and actually see for yourself, I was really stunned. And it started because I was meeting with a doctor who was telling me that we have these tropical diseases that many doctors don't know that exist in many areas of this country that have these kind of straight piping because they have no septic systems or wastewater systems at all. And when you see it for yourself and you meet with people who are struggling with this, it just makes you think it's a shame of our nation, a nation this strong, this powerful, this wealthy that couldn't do something about it. And that's why I'm glad this is a bipartisan issue, which is reflected in the comments from all the witnesses, as well as from many of my colleagues. I've had the privilege of working with Senator Capito, who's been a great partner in addressing these issues. And we were able to create authority for the USDA to provide loans and grants to low-income households to install individual wastewater systems. Now, in the upcoming Farm Bill, Senator Capito and I are looking to make improvements to the program that we were able to get established. And I'm going to direct my questions to, sincerely, one of my great American heroes. Catherine, you have inspired me more than you know, and I'm just grateful. So one of the changes that Senator Capito and I are pushing for in the Farm Bill is for a program to provide funding for warranties to accompany these septic systems. Can you talk about the warranties and why they're so important?
Yes, I think that, thank you, Senator Booker. I think
she calls me Cory when we're not in public.
I can't do that today. But it's very important because what happens is once the septic system is put in, and we've paid for a lot of them in Lowndes County, the liability is transferred to the homeowner. And when that liability, when they fail, the homeowner has to fix it. And a lot of them can't afford to do that. And we're finding, not just in Alabama, but across the country, these systems are failing within 2 years. And some of them, when they do fail, it's very costly to fix, and people don't fix it. That's when they start straight piping, or they do something else to come up with some remedy that's not legal in order to make sure that the sewage doesn't come back into their homes. When they come back into their homes, it comes back either through a bathtub, it can come back through a sink. I mean, those of us that are pet owners know that a dog would not sleep on a bed that has been fouled. So why do we expect humans to live that way? And I think the only way we can really change the way this works is to have warranties in place. It can inspire research and development and improvements. I mean, if we look at, I'm old enough to know when a car wouldn't last more than 2 years. But when we had competition and we had to look at cars that were being made in other countries that were lasting longer, American cars got better too. Likewise with warranty systems for these wastewater systems that people have to have. I spoke with Ranking Member Tuberville earlier, and he talked about the importance of water. Sanitation is also important. It is a part of water, and we have to have that for health and safety. So having these warranties in place, I think, would ensure health and safety for all homeowners, and certainly those in rural communities that should not be left to fix this on their own.
Thank you, Catherine. I had a brief brush with power, which I'm now about to lose to the great Senator Welsh. I didn't even get to slam the gavel down, but I will ask you just one more question before I surrender the position I have that has most of the people here in awe. One of the, well, despite authorizing both grants and loans, we know that the USDA has administered this program strictly as a loan program. Now, the folk I saw in Alabama and now have seen in other places aren't the folk that can really afford these programs. So can you talk to me a little bit about how important it is that low-income households, which are usually the households affected, receive grants to install these systems?
Yes, I think that's a very important point. Not only low-income households, but also for a lot of the communities. When I first got involved doing this work, I remember talking with Senator Sessions years ago about why rural communities, although the money was available, couldn't get it because they couldn't come up with a match. But likewise with loans, a lot of these families are struggling. They can't afford that. And everybody in this country, I believe, that we're a great nation, and everybody in this country should have the right to sanitation, and they shouldn't be able to be without it simply because they can't afford a loan. That's why grants would be very important to a lot of poor families across the U.S.
Mr. Chairman, Catherine said that eloquently, but I had this wonderful, beautiful moment with Senator Shelby in the gym, of all places. He and I used to work at odd times and became really good friends because we were the only two people in the gym, and nobody there was to make fun of how little work we were doing in the gym. But when I told him about your problem, Catherine, he said the exact same thing, that these are good folk that should have what's so basic, and did a lot on his position to deal with the issue. I'm glad that we have Alabama senators that have the same heart to address these issues, and that this has been such a bipartisan space for me to work in, and I'm just really grateful. So thank you, Mr. Powerful Chairman.
Thank you, and by the way, I would want to acknowledge the letter that you're